Welcome to Sovereign Mamas, the podcast sanctuary for visionary women who are building lives, businesses, and legacies in alignment with their feminine power. I'm your host, Julia Jörg, intuitive business coach, mama of two, and systems strategist for solo-led entrepreneurs. Here, we honor both your sacred role as a mama and your wild vision as a changemaker. Expect soul-aligned strategy, raw storytelling, behind the scenes, and powerful conversations that support you in scaling your business without sacrifice. If you're done choosing between success and sovereignty, you're home. Let's begin. Welcome to another episode on the Sovereign Mamas podcast. I am really pleased and a little bit nervous about today's conversation, but in a good way, in all the best ways. And so I will not start this episode off with a lot of explanations or any introductions. I feel that today I would love to just say hi, Nisanka. Welcome to the show. I'm very honored that you're here, excited to talk to you, and really curious to pick your brain. So welcome.
Lovely to first be here. Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate this opportunity and welcome everybody who listen. You are in for a lot of information and things that I think you'll enjoy, so stick around.
Okay. We'll lift the mysterious soon in case you don't know what we're talking about. But let's start us off. This is the show for mompreneurs, those who are on a journey to literally live their dreams, their visions, go for it, having a business or building one, scaling one, and also raising little humans. Where in this journey are you at the minute, Nisanka? Are you kick us off with your personal story. How far along are you in your mompreneur journey, maybe?
Mompreneur journey, mompreneur, entrepreneur. Okay. I think, we're all as entrepreneurs, we're all creative beings. That's why we want our own thing. At the moment in my journey, I'm just exploring my creativity and where I stand with it, how I want to bring it in, how I want to bring this creativity into my business, which is a very sensitive subject that we're going to talk about. So that's the kind of at the moment there's a lot of explorations, self exploration I am engaged in. That's where I am right now.
That's
And
where you're.
raising a child who transitions into teenagehood and watching the transformation and adjusting as a mom, because I solely for the last 5 years she's been my priority, she's been the focus, and she's been on top of the list, and I felt like my whole life and everything was dedicated towards being a mom. And now she's becoming more and more independent. I have the space, and there's a little bit of adjustments for both of us in that space.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm honestly very nervous when it comes to teenage years because I do remember my teenage years, and I know I have two boys. I might get away with a little bit of easier teenager phase. It depends on the child, obviously, but when I do remember my teenage years, oh, my poor parents. I'm really sorry for them. It was
uh,
wild.
I know they've got to go through that stage, haven't they? They've
Yes.
got to go through that day. That's the individuation process, and it's got to happen. And we've got to still maintain the connection and give them the independence, and focus on our own triggers and where we can grow as. It's an opportunity for us to grow as human beings, and I think it's the best test for how
Yes.
wonderful we can be in a relationship. So take it
Yeah.
all in.
And you're giving the perfect keywords, trigger and relationship. So let's go straight in. So
All right.
you are helping, you're doing a really important job, by the way. You are helping um people. Is it only women or is it anyone who
No, no,
just
I help parents who co-parent with narcissistic or coercive partners or ex-partners. That's what I do.
Okay. So is it doesn't, the gender doesn't matter. You work with men and women.
Yeah. I think my clients are both men and women.
Yeah. Okay. What brought you on to this path? Like why is this your calling?
It was a genuine exploration, accident, life, wisdom, you name it, anything, I grew up in a very abusive environment. My parents
Mm.
were very abusive, towards me as well as towards each other. So there was a lot of domestic violence in the environment. Um, and then then you grow up with the beliefs that you're not lovable, and you're not important, and it's your responsibility to fix everybody else's problem. I think women grow up with that belief in general anyway in the world. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, culturally women are affected that way. But then I found a partner who I thought was the one, and I did all the tests right, so like anybody thinking this was my fault, I should have known better. No, you didn't know what you didn't know at the time. I was very careful, taking time to explore and no rushing into anything. I grew up in Sri Lanka, I'm Asian, so you kind of find a partner that you stick for life, and that's the culture anyway. And then you have a baby, and then suddenly you look back at one point in your life, you don't recognize yourself anymore. Like, who am I? Who is this person? I was extremely unwell to a point. I could barely get out of the shower. I was that depressed, couldn't string a sentence together. I've been quite academically successful. I've always been. Now I can't. I couldn't put a string. I couldn't string a sentence together. So I'm questioning what's going on with me. Like, why am I? And then and then um so confused at work, and I couldn't work. I can't. The biggest alarm for me was I just couldn't bond with my child. It was a
Mm.
real struggle to bond with my own child. So there I was thinking, failing from every angle, couldn't figure out what it was. Didn't see my relationship as the problem because it didn't fit in the domestic abuse sort of framework, that the way that we know it. Because domestic abuse, when you talk about it, what comes to your mind is violence and slamming doors, and that's what I've seen, violence. So I was like, I made sure that it didn't happen to me. I knew if that happened to me, I would not stay. So I was like, I chose better, I know better, I'm confident, I'm educated, I am financially um independent. This, that's not me. It's not happening to me. That this is me. Something is wrong with me, right?
Mhm.
Something is wrong with me. I just don't know how to have a relationship. I'm just so crap at a relationship. So I was going down that path, but I mean, there were so many incidents. I don't want to go into too much intricate details, but so many things was telling me something was so not right with me. But one thing was me getting into the car, driving towards the station to end my life. That's
Mm.
when in that moment I caught myself, whoa. And it's like, and this thought, like, if I end my life, he's gonna raise my daughter. I didn't like that. I didn't know why, but I just didn't like it. So I turned up at the A&E crisis team and just said I need help. That was just one of the moments. Obviously, there were so many other things, but eventually I packed the bag. I actually put my clothes in bin bags and just left in my car with my laptop. That was that, and with my daughter's belongings, of course. And so that's how I ended a 19-year long relationship. Just like no job, no money, mountain of debt, and no health. I just left because I just knew if I'd stayed, I would kill myself. So, and it's that moment. And I was sort of trying to heal, got into holistic healing, which saved my life. I don't think if I'd stayed in talk therapy, I would have lived. Um, but got into holistic therapy, and it's that journey, and it's the post separation period where I was not in it. I was getting the help that I need, and then I could see the behavior from the other person that made me think, oh, this was the problem.
Mm.
And then I came across Dr. Ramani's channel. Dr. Ramani Darwasala has a channel for narcissism and narcissistic behavior, and I came across that channel. Now I have a context to what I've experienced. As a child, I was that child, and now I'm raising a child. So, and I made every mistake that any parent in this situation make, trying to explain it to other people, trying to make other people see it, trying to protect your child, trying to, trying to like tell your child, like trying to tell your child, but without telling your child, like, because you can't tell the other parent is an abusive parent because, your children still love them, and now you're trying to protect, and then when the child comes home like really angry and with outburst, and you're questioning, why is it happening to me? But you're like, you're so compliant with the other parent, but you're only like making me feel bad. But what am I doing wrong? I made all those mistakes that any other parent would do in that situation. But because I was getting the help that I need, and holistic therapy is so powerful, and I was able to release a lot of trauma from my body, and also being very academically sound, but also I come from a teaching background, which also meant that I knew about, social services and referrals, the safeguarding and how to have these conversations. I knew about it, and I knew what signs to look for, which thank God, like I didn't have serious breaches of safeguarding, but it's just more emotional manipulation. And and then I learned a lot. I thought, you know what, I dug into it. And then I trained in domestic violence, and I was like, I'm gonna do this to make sense of my own experience. I started writing about it. And I'd already been a trained life coach by that point. But then I added holistic therapy, trauma recovery into it. And it just gradually evolved into that because I was making sense of my own experience. And I
Mhm.
was sharing, and other people were finding it helpful. And it just gradually involved, like, it just evolved into something. So it was never like suddenly I wake up in the morning, that's what I want to do. It's like that was purpose never happens that way. Purpose is always attached to adversary and difficult situations, and like downfalls, and purpose is always attached to pain. um so yeah, that's how I got into doing it.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing this so openly and also so digestible, because obviously this is such a wow, it's such a big story, and it's yes, I love how you packaged it and how you also say that you turned your story into something so that it actually can help other people. And yeah, I have so many questions, but now where do we start when like you said something about when you're in the thick of it, and especially when children then are still little and they cannot, should not, obviously,
Mm.
um, need to be kind of part of it, but then also be outside of it. So, what's your biggest advice to someone who's going through it? How do you communicate with your children without degrading the other parent?
Yeah. So there's so many different parts to it, and the most important thing is you don't focus on other person, you focus on yourself and your children. And this is, I
Mhm.
think, is one of the biggest mistakes, understandably, and I did that too. Is like there's this sudden focus on that person is doing this, that person is doing, like, well, how can I protect my child from the focus goes to that person because you're in the thick of it. But bring the focus back to you. Okay, how can I love my child in a way that my child experience that deepest unconditional love? That's the question that you must always ask in any situation. How can I allow my children to experience love? It's not about whether you love your children or not. There's no doubt that you love your children, which is why you're asking the question, how can I protect my child? But it's like, how can I love my child in a way that they experience our unconditional love? Because when you're dysregulated, when you're traumatized, it's so easy for us to feel numb, feel sort of disassociate, and just like not be here, be present. It
Mm.
happens. That's the trauma response. So it's about then finding out, okay, how can I, when I have my children with me, how can I make their lives more, or how can I be present for my children? You know, whether it's just going out and doing something simple, doing something that you both enjoy, playing a game, something like that. So that's the first thing. So your connection needs to go a lot deeper. Second thing is to, whenever your children come home, don't conflict your children with so many different stories. That creates a lot of cognitive dissonance, a confusion amongst children, because they love both parents, they trust both parents, they will believe both parents. They'll have far too many questions if you tell another story. You go, okay, I know that's what you tell me, and thank you for sharing with me. And it's like, and then it comes down to, tell me, how does that make you feel? Like, you don't have to be very therapeutic about it, like, okay, just tell me, sit next to me, would you like a cuddle? Right, you look sad, would you like a cuddle? You look confused. Okay, what can I do to help you? So, like, every child, age varies, and intellectual levels varies, and how they can have the conversation, which obviously varies. Then it's about you being the mother, or you being the father that they need in that moment of confusion. You become that person, right? You
Mm.
become that person. You're not gonna go into explaining what's wrong with the other person. You're just becoming the parent that your children need in that moment. In a way, it's that simple, but also it's really hard because you just
Mm.
want to go, what the, you know. But yes, that's what. And if they have questions, and it's okay to, depending on the level of capacity for your children's understanding and sort of emotional capacity, emotional intelligence, then you just sort of have a conversation. Just say, look, if somebody is angry, it's their responsibility to manage their behavior. Children are not responsible for adults' anger. You just separate the
Mm.
two, right? You're not responsible my anger or your daddy's anger. You know,
Mm.
you're not responsible to look after me or daddy. You're not responsible to fulfill my dream or your daddy's dream. You just really have a very normal conversation and say, this is not about you. You're not, there's nothing wrong with you. This isn't
Mm.
about you. You are loved. And I always make it very general statement, because to conflict love with abuse is a dangerous message to the children, and say, you are loved. You will notice that you are loved. I love you. And then there's the curious question, do you not think daddy loves me, or do you not think that mommy loves me? It's like, that's a question for you to ask daddy.
Mhm.
You can ask him. You can ask him, you know. So you're not gonna be drawn into that conversation. You're
Mhm.
not going to be drawn into that conversation. Sorry, my
Mhm.
emails keep popping up. So, and then how you have that conversation with your children, it's long term as well as short term. Short term is when that happens, as it happens, as it unfolds, become the loving parent, present parent for your children. If they're angry, don't personalize it. don't personalize their anger towards you. They're just offloading. You are the safe haven for your children. It's a bit like they go through trauma responses, like they appease to the abusive parent because otherwise it comes with punishment, right? And so what they do is what you think is loyalty and love to the other parent is more about appeasing the other parent so that they can stay out of trouble, you know. So it's like a compression, or they've got like a pressure cooker thing going on when they're with the other parent. They come
Mm-hmm.
to your house, you are the safer parent, boom,
Mm-hmm.
suddenly anger, outburst and acting out, and you're this, you're mean, you're that, you're that, I hate you. It all comes on you. So, right, you can say, we can talk, I can listen, I don't appreciate your disrespectful language towards me, we can talk. So you're really, you need to like not personalize, it's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't personalize it. And then when they're a lot calmer and then you do something to connect. Something I would say in that situation is during the transition, have a transition ritual so that your children know that they're welcome. So there is something beautiful to anticipate. They just know. It's a ritual. The ritual can start with you clearing your own energy, you grounding yourself. Because as we know with the heart math, if you're dysregulated, your children can feel it even if they're seven countries away. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that's how the nature have, it's how nature, this beautiful universe have created us. We feel it, we feel each other, we're biologically wired to be that way. So ground yourself, open your heart, and then you welcome your children with an open heart, and that will immediately, that's what you call co-regulation, that'll immediately regulate them. And then you can have with the little children, you can have a play area, favorite play area to play with, um, just something fun, a distraction. Oh, and then you have the teenage children, they might like, leave me alone, and you leave them alone. Leave me alone, you leave them alone. Right? Don't take it as a rejection. If you feel rejected, that means there's one of the core beliefs, the patterns you have is a fear of rejection. Address that with a therapist, holistic practitioner, coach, whoever, or journal. You don't always have to hire somebody to work with it. Just awareness itself is enough. And feel into the rejection. I feel rejected. Like when you feel something, feel into it, fully feel into it. You feel rejected, yeah, of course. Self pity, allow yourself to feel self pity. That's okay, but just don't stay in it. That's the whole point. Otherwise, then you become a victim. The victim mindhood. So feel the rejection, but don't project it to the child. I can't believe you talk to me like that. I do everything for you, and that's how you treat me. Well, now that's a projection, and that's an unhealthy pattern for you and your children. So it's really about, it's like walking a minefield. But if you know where the mines are, then you can
Mm-hmm.
just like avoid them. It's like, knowing your triggers, it's like, oh, I know there is a trigger. Well, that's the mine. I'm not going to step into it. I'm just going to go around it. Maybe like I'll do something to remove it later. So it's like, yeah, so you're walking together on this minefield with your children. Long term, I think another short term thing is also for you um, to really expose your children and raise your children in other healthy environments so they
Mm-hmm.
experience healthy relationships, healthy communication, healthy conversation. Don't ever shy away from a difficult conversation with your children because you're scared that they won't like you, or you're scared that they will be hurt. Hurt is given in any relationship, it's just how we grow. And you will hurt your children and they will hurt you. you know they will have their own things to work on at some point, and we will have messed up their lives regardless. It's just given. It is
Yeah.
given. Accept it, accept it. I think parents, one of the so that's how we do it. But I think this is really important. One of the biggest, I think one of the biggest things that's happened in this conversation, in the way that sometimes the online people handle this conversation, has given parents an unrealistic expectation of how parenting should be, right?
Mm.
And the unrealistic expectation of raising your children in the healthiest environment, that
Like the
doesn't exist.
perfectionist way, almost too.
That, yeah, that doesn't exist.
Mm.
Our grandparents, they might love children, but they just don't know how to talk about children's authenticity, or they don't know how to accept the way you are. They'll tell you the way things are, the way they see it. And
Mm.
you might, what you're going to do, isolate your children from the grandparents because they sound a bit narcissistic. That, and then we will grow up in a very isolated environment. And, I always say to parents, unless there are, I mean, look, there are certain situations in this narcissistic co-parenting cohesive situation. If you think about, there's the red zone, there's an amber zone, and there's a bit of a bluish greenish zone. Red is immediate threat to children, harm, like safeguarding breaches, physical abuse, sexual violence, threat to life. That happens, yeah. And and then of course we must protect our children in that situation, remove the parent, and then remove your children, isolate your children and take them into safety. That's safety, that must happen. And a lot of parents struggle with the family court system, where the parental rights are considered more important than the child's safety, sadly. And it's across the globe. Anybody that I've ever worked with, some countries less and some countries more. I think that some European countries, slightly better than America and Canada, from my experience with the clients. But yes, that's the red zone. And then I think most of us fall into, majority of my clients, they fall into a bit of an amber zone, where there is no immediate danger to children, but there is the harm, the long
Mm.
term drip, 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 drip
Mm. Mhm.
trauma that happens, that causes harm to children. I'll tell you what, in the society we live in, it'll happen anyway. It'll happen at school, it'll happen at the doctors, it'll happen on the street, it'll happen amongst your friends, it'll happen anyway. There's no way we can bubble wrap our children. So, one of the ways that I have repeat, I've been mulling over how to say this, but I thought I'm just gonna say it the way I feel it anyway. You can like it, you can not like it. And it's just about, yeah, so you've been better positioned to train your children for the society that's coming.
Mhm.
Right? It's difficult to see it as a gift, but it is a gift in a way, because
Mhm.
you've been better positioned to train your children to be authentic, to teach them what manipulation is like, and go deeper into your relationship. So you can choose that life, or or you can just spend an eternity trying to get social justice. I'll tell you what, it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
It really is delusional to think that just because some online coaches talk about it, that people will be brought to justice. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying realistically it doesn't exist. And there are incredible people who advocate, and I support them. I'm not an advocate because it's not my space. I don't want to mix the two up, because if I'm an advocate, I'd be holding a placard and actually going down and is now asking policies to be changing, and I don't do that, so I'm not an advocate. So, but be the change that you want to see in the world, instead of focusing on the other parent and holding that person accountable or changing that person. I can tell you one thing, energetic, because I work with the energetics, right? Energetically, when you be the change that you want to see in the world, things conspire to protect you, to save you, equally hold the other person accountable.
Mm.
Like I've seen that happening in my own eyes, in my life, how the other person kind of faced karma, you know. And part of me, I wanted to like, haha, but equally, I've done so much work on myself, and I thought, well, you're a human being. It must be painful to you to go through this. So I acknowledge it. I'm not a part of it. It's not my responsibility, you know. It's yeah, it's just the part. It's just the level of healing and managing that you want to do. It's an opportunity. It's a difficult opportunity, but it's an opportunity. You can take it, and your children can learn something from it. I don't
Mm.
have short answers, Julia.
That's great. I mean, this is a talking platform. Don't apologize. This is all very interesting, and I love the approach that you're bringing to the table. Obviously, I'm all for energetics, and I bring that also in the business coaching
Mm,
space, and I 100% do relate what you're saying and live by that as well. It starts always with us and the way we are thinking, feeling about other people is then going to affect our life, our reality. And so I do, yeah, I do believe that this is a hard one to swallow for some people hearing this,
yeah,
especially when you're
yeah,
still like in that going through that situation and you're in it's maybe here is something because you know you're so in it and then yet the only way out is truly to let go of the victimhood and like you say acknowledge yeah this is happening it's not great it was painful it is painful it's probably going to be um painful for a lot
yes,
longer but at the
yeah,
same time also in every situation we have a choice how do we respond
yeah,
to people things situation and everything can be an opportunity to learn and grow. I truly believe that. And yeah, like you say, for our children just modeling those situations and being being there for them as much as, but also being there. When you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, I mean, you're already talking to a person who's ready to be there for the child, but then the first step is to be there for you, right? You have to heal
absolutely.
yourself first, and you have to go through all this compassion with yourself and the self awareness because like you said when you are traumatized and you're in it you don't see it you are you know you have for the longest all these questions in your head how is this possible how is this happening to me because I'm intelligent and I see and then you go around and say how, how is this situation possible. And then, yeah, what's like, can you give something here when someone is there and not yet out and still thinks, oh no, this is not me. No, this can't be right. Am I maybe really also in a narcissist relationship? How do you get out of the fog?
Yeah, so I would say one of the first things that I would say is to understand patterns of behavior that's persistent in your life. I think in abusive situations, there is a process to help people um, to recovery from their trauma, and one of the things is not to jump straight into. I know this is a small space, so that's why I say we need to take accountability. But equally, one of the things when we help abuse people who've been abused is to love them, to recognize that this abuse was done to them, that they have been victimized. They're not victims, but they have been victimized by
Hmm.
somebody. And that acknowledgement is really, really important because there was somebody who made a choice, who lied to you, who love bombed you, who made you trust them and then diminished you, devalued you, gaslighted you, and discarded you, right? So you were put through a process over a long period of time where you trusted somebody, you gave your trust and finances, life away to this person because you wanted to be in that relationship with the other parent. Now, when it comes to parents, you don't have a choice. You're there. You're born. Siblings, the same thing. Relatives, you kind of same thing. I'm talking about this because it's, you have children because you're in a relationship and you choose to have children. Choose or not choose, accidental. You have a child. Now, so the one of the first things I would say is like really acknowledge that this has happened to you, that you have been victimized. It's really important that you have been victimized. Don't fight it. Don't fight and just say I am feisty, but I'm very confident. Like don't fight it. You have been victimized. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging you have been victimized. I fought it as long as you can. Like I will not acknowledge it. I will not. I'm feisty. I'm also fighting. I'm also arguing. This could be part of it. I fought as long as you did. But one thing that helped me sort of radically accept my situation was me going, you know what, I have been victimized. I have fallen for this. I have been lied to. I have been manipulated. This is really painful. Why people don't do that? Because it's painful.
Mm,
That pain, that acknowledgement, and the pain that brings is just so hard
mm,
to grapple with. Because then this dream world that you lived in, it just falls apart.
mhm,
This relationship you thought you had, it's not there anymore. The life that you thought you built, it's just not there anymore. Right? It's somebody else's fantasy, that you were just an object for somebody else's fantasy, right? So one of the things I would say is acknowledge that you have been victimized and there's no shame in it. Absolutely no shame in it. Right? And perhaps it might happen to you again. There's no guarantee in life.
mm,
Might happen to you again. There's no guarantee in your life. And this is not about raising the vibration and I'm keeping myself safe. But life is full of surprises. There's no guarantee in life. Life will improve. You can create the life that you want by really working on yourself, but there's no guarantee in life. You want something better, you will be presented with a challenge. That's how it goes, right?
mhm,
You ask for something better, you're going to be challenged. And so, acknowledge. So, second stage to that is to realize or an understanding and raise awareness of the patterns of behavior. So, there's two things I want to point out. One, in any cohesive relationship, narcissistic, psychopathic, any type of cohesive, controlling, abusive relationship, there's three stages usually. One is a love bombing stage where you feel like you've been treated like a princess or prince. You are like the center of attention. Oh my god, the love rush. Wow, there's so much chemistry. Oh my god, the big whining and dining and like everything is just there.
mhm,
Incredible, right? You're in it. And physiologically now you're in it, right? Physiologically there's the dopamine rush and the neural networks creating and energetically everything is just like stirred up subconsciously, right? Subconsciously as well. There's a familiar pattern that you're there now. You have no control in this situation. Trust me, you're a human being. Second stage starts the moment they start love bomb you. And I think people believe there is a phase of love bombing and devaluation and discard. The moment they start love bombing you is the moment they devalue and discard you. Right?
mhm,
Don't ever think, oh, it's like 6 months later they started devaluing me because something happened from me. It's not like that. It's just who they are. They start love bombing you, and the moment they start love bombing you is the moment they start devaluing you. Right? A
mhm,
healthy person will not trap you in a snare with lies and manipulation. That's the essence of devaluation, right? Like
mhm,
they're not gonna go into it. A healthy person will not say to you, I love you, and will hurt you the next second, right? So this us looking for this justification or reasoning, but what did I do to deserve this, or what did I do to for him to behave or for her to behave like that towards me,
Mhm.
that's us sort of trying to do a mental puzzle. We're just
Mhm.
trying to solve a mental puzzle. Realistically, the moment they love bomb you is the moment they devalue and discard you. They've already discarded you within the first 15 seconds. Don't make no mistake, right? But in the rush, we don't see it. So don't blame yourself. Have compassion. So devaluation, so love bombing, devaluation, discard. Now, what you might see in your relationship is a pattern, right? Pattern of abuse. There's always a pattern. There's that period like intense love. There's the abuse. There's the apology, right? There's
Mhm.
the apology, and the abuse increases. Now you're confused. But we had that good time. He apologized. I'm sure I refer to he, but it's a narcissism is a 50-50 thing. There's equally female narcissistic people, right? But but he apologized to me. He loves me. I remember that day. Now you're working harder to appease that person. Now there's a period of sort of peace. Maybe it's because you've silenced yourself, you've stopped asking for your needs to be met, right? And then there's the period of love bombing again, trying to like hook you in. And then there's the abuse. This time it's worse than the last time. But you also sort of adapted yourself. You don't see the worst behavior. And then the next time, there's the apology, there's the rose, there's a box of chocolate, there's the movie, there's the good sex. And it's not good sex, but it is performatory good sex. And, and then there's the period of, oh, we've just sorted this again. Like, I think we have a future. I'm sure we can work through this. Every family has problems. Now you're like finding this justification in your head, right? So on goes this cycle over and over and over and over again. There's neural networks are created, right? And your subconsciously so many beliefs are now being triggered, and you believe that you're worthless, something's wrong with me. Now you start walking on eggshells, scared to ask for your needs to be met, and start to challenge the other person knowing there's going to be punishments. So you slowly silence yourself to appease the other person, and you also isolate yourself from the other people because you are there to serve this person now, right? So you need to understand these patterns that happen in your life and the
Mhm.
impact the trauma it has, relational betrayal trauma it has caused to you. It is only through trauma work that you can release this,
Mhm.
right? And then understanding when you go through the healing, you understand this when you go through the healing, you'll get to a point where, with a really good trauma therapist, with a really good therapist, who knows this stuff, it'll get to a point where you will understand yourself. You know what? I, there was a part in me. That part was in the subconscious. But if we have the conversation of your subconscious pattern is what caused you to have
Mhm.
abuse, that's too early to have that conversation because you
Mhm.
need to acknowledge that these people have caused harm to the other person. But when you go through the healing process, you'll understand there's always that subconscious pattern, which is why we allowed that to go on. We knew exactly within the first 50, I speak to every single person who've been abused. They knew the first 15 seconds that that wasn't right.
Mhm.
Exactly, including myself, knew. But we rationalized it, we justified it, we accommodated, right? But when you're very authentic, you're true to yourself, and you listen to your gut and in your intuition, your body tells you that this person is not good for you before they even meet you. But we don't listen to that. It's not, I'm not blaming anybody because we are conditioned out of it. We're conditioned out of our connection to our own body. Particularly women are born with a gift to be intuitive.
Mhm.
It's our feminine power is about being intuitive. That's our feminine power. Feminine power. We are
Mhm.
so powerful, female in our feminine essence. And we're just so
Yeah.
powerful people because we're we're born biologically wired to have the gift of intuition, gift of feeling, gift of nurture in us. And we just sacrifice everything to sustain these relationships because we have been told that's the best, that's how we need to live, that we have to rationalize everything.
Mhm.
So you need to understand all these components to be able to then heal and recover. And what a wonderful gift that you can give to your children, to
Mhm.
be that person, and your children look at you, go, wow, this is how my mom lives and this is how my dad lives. Like,
Mhm.
what a gift to give to your children, to be able to recover. And you will never give that gift if you're stuck in the victimhood.
Mhm.
And I know it might not be trauma sensitive to talk about that. I have a lot of training in trauma work, but I think sometimes conversations need to be realistic, that if you're going into and looking into the abyss of victimhood and make everything about your life, make everything in your life about another person, you need to ask the question yourself. Like, you need to ask that question yourself. Are you being fair to your children? Are you being a role model to your children? Let your hair down and be naughty and do whatever you want in your own time. I'm not asking you to, like, like, be this perfect mother or father. That's not what I'm saying. But we need to live a life that, that our children can aspire to, be inspired
Mhm.
by us. That's, I mean, if I can do that, I think that's enough for me. That's my purpose done in this life, I think. That's
Yes, amazing. Amazing. I think yes, it's a whole obviously it's a journey. There's different stages, different layers, but like you say, um that was great advice to have those uh, red flags and acknowledge all these things and realize it, and then hopefully also, like, I know that sometimes your friends or someone who is in your world can point out things that you don't see when you're in the thick of it and say, that doesn't sound like a healthy thing, or that doesn't seem to be fair to you. And then more and more, you may wake up and come to you.
universe has always given you signals. Reflect, rewind your journey,
Mm-hmm.
and really pay attention to. It's when I was going through my anniversary cards. I was like decluttering my house, and I was going through anniversary cards and birthday cards that I've written to him, and just realized it was like it froze me to read my own words, to go, Jesus, I have not respected myself at all. At all. The,
Mm-hmm.
so I just, every single time I have written, I'm so sorry, thank you for putting up with me.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's cringy. It
Yeah.
froze me. It froze me to look at that. That's how I've treated myself. There was no self respect. There was
Mm,
no self love. Because if you truly love yourself, truly respect yourself, you will
mm,
have zero tolerance to any disrespectful comment, any disrespectful behavior, right? And that doesn't mean that we discard people left, right, and center. But that simply means, okay, I felt disrespected. Let us have a conversation, and depending on the other person's
mm,
reaction, you can decide this dynamic is not for me. You walk away, right?
mm,
That's the living in your power and living in your authenticity, and
mhm,
zero. How many times have you forgiven the other person in these
mhm,
relationships? How many times we have silenced ourselves so we can sustain the relationship? How many
mm,
times we have told ourselves, it happens, it happens, maybe something wrong with me, I'm just going to change the way I wash my hair next time, or maybe like, or maybe I'll just buy a nice lingerie and then be a bit sexier, and then next time, like, okay, well, I've done that and that doesn't work, like, I don't know what else I can do, and then you're trying to change. But a healthy person will never try to change you as a person. They'll accept
mhm,
the way you are. They'll come talk to you about what doesn't work, and they'll have a healthy conversation about it. But they'll
mhm,
never tell you that, you've got to be a certain way so I can love you. And
Mm-hmm.
if you love yourself, you will never, ever work hard for love.
Mm. Mm.
You don't
That's
have to work
a
harder
big.
for love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah,
you
and
love
that goes
yourself,
again back to the childhood. And so when you
yes,
are seeing this, hearing, feeling it, and you feel maybe now, ooh, there is something that I need to work on, then I think the best and greatest motivation is really doing it for, obviously for yourself first and foremost, but for your children, right?
absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
having them grow up as those self-loving, self-respecting, confident little humans. And like you say, life will be putting challenges up for them anyways, but at least you have done your job
Yeah,
and prepare themselves and equip them with some sort of
absolutely.
mm,
Absolutely. When they know they're loved, when they know they're accepted, right? And the challenges, they will have a moment, they will have a reaction, they will break down in tears, or they will have weeks of where they grieve for something, but they'll always bounce back. Just like us, we'll always bounce back. We're not going to attach what happened to us as our fun that with we're fundamentally wrong, or
mm,
you know because something's happening in our life. Life happens through you. And yeah, it's the message that you need to give your children as well. And I think for me, yes, I felt like a victim for a long time, and I until I acknowledged I have been victimized, I felt like a victim. I remember having, universe, why? I'm a good person. Why are you doing this to me? I'm a good person. Why are you not? And then I was looking for a rescuer, thinking somebody would come and rescue me. Like give me the love that I want. you know, the fairy tale ending. It's like somebody comes and rescue me, and you know what? None of that happened because I was like, okay, now if anybody, I've sort of gradually got back into a little bit of dating now, and like just not a priority, but I thought, oh, well, I'll explore a little bit. It's been a
yeah.
while. And now that somebody's going in with, oh, do you know Miss Affection? My answer is, I have affection in my life. Doesn't have to be from a man. And end of
Yeah.
conversation because I can see through the bullshit.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so funny. That is so funny.
I know,
Yeah. And a lot of times I'm thinking it's so unfair, these movies that we get fed, and then we are waiting for the the white horse, the man on the white horse, our knight, to rescue us, right? Yeah, but it's us. It comes down to rescuing ourselves, and then yet, and I think there's a fine, how do you say it? Like there's a fine line when you need to empower yourself, but then still stay soft enough to also not tip over to that. I got it.
Yeah. The true feminine power, which is something that I'm exploring and I'm also learning a lot more, and which I'm welcoming back into my body again. Again, it's everything needs to be done with the body. It's your body. That's body is your brain. Body is your brain. Any
Yeah.
decisions from here, it's just not as powerful as the decisions that you make from your body. But the feminine power, the essence of feminine power, we're talking to a group of female entrepreneurs, so I'll say feminine power. Feminine power is just about being in your femininity. Yes, of course you have the capacity to go in and, do ball busting thing and make decisions, because we have the Kali, the Kali,
Mhm.
the Indian goddess, is also very violent, and because she's protective, particularly when it comes to your own children. Yeah, of course you will be a Kali. There's nothing wrong with that, you
Mhm.
know. And it's just about then again coming back to resetting and coming back to your feminine power again and be the female and receiving, you know, receiving um, the intuition, the love, the the creativity. We are very creative people as females, very
Mhm.
creative people, and and unfortunately, when we had to fight with the patriarchy, we had to adapt to 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 take a lot of masculine. qualities, particularly if you've been in a abusive relationship, the heavy weight is on you to raise children, to maintain house. Everything is on you. So you probably have adapted a lot of masculine energy, masculine ways of living. And, or if you're a man, you might have been made to feel very emasculated in your relationship, by
Mhm.
the other person taking the control over you, so you've lost your purpose. But which essentially mean we've lost our way. So coming back to your point of like, yes, we've got to be who we are meant to be, which is our feminine power and their masculine power. And yeah, we need both of us. We just need both of us. That's how when the world is beautiful. I really want, yeah, the masculine power and the feminine power to just blossom again.
Yes. Wouldn't it be nice to have a perfect world?
Right?
Mm.
At least we can make a tiny amount in our life a perfect, balanced
Yeah, exactly.
environment.
That's with us. Like you said, be the change you want to see in the world. And I think, well, I think there's so much in this episode and so much more to discuss. But at the same time, I do feel complete in the sense of we came full circle with it starts with us. And now we talked about how to, hopefully help someone. If you're listening, obviously there's this invitation to reach out to Nisanka and talk and maybe explore the opportunity to work with you.
Yes.
And like you say, sometimes it's not even but sitting down and just tuning into yourselves, journaling, and pausing, reflecting. Is this the life I want to be living? Is this truly
Yeah.
who I am, or might I be under the influence of some frequencies that are not mine? And if the
Yes.
answer isn't a clear yes, then you gotta keep
Yes.
moving.
I know, and this is why don't blame yourself, because some of these energies not even ours, and intergenerational, it could be ancestral, it could be
Mhm.
collective energy. So like there's so many things to what's happening in our lives and what's happening in and around our lives. So it's just be, I forget this myself, so I am equally to be blamed sometimes, but be compassionate to yourself,
Yeah.
like be kind and loving to yourself.
Yes, I love this. I love this. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
This was amazing. And yeah, I hope you listeners, so I hope you feel it, that there's genuine interest in, obviously this is a platform for you to come recharge, refill your knowledge in all these areas. And I love how the variety keeps coming onto this show, and there's always something to take away. With some episodes might resonate and you completely relate to one topic. I hope for you you're not relating to this topic as much. But if it is something that you can identify with, then that was your moment to work through it and start looking into it. That's it. Thank you again, Nisanka, and thanks everyone for listening, and we see you on the next show.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.